Hello, this is Mark from My Keys to Music. Thanks for joining me on this video. Today we're talking about purchasing a UPS, that's an uninterruptible power supply for your Nord keyboard. Why would you need such a thing? Well, I can think of one particular case. In fact, it was brought up by a student, and it was a very good point. When you're updating the OS of your keyboard, there's a time where it's critical. In fact, if you take a close look, it'll even say something like, do not power off your computer while doing this. Do not interrupt the process. Don't pull the cable. Essentially, you don't want to interrupt that process because if you do, there's a chance that your keyboard might not be able to be recovered from that. In fact, I'm not sure what the end result would be in that event. I guess you'd have to send it back potentially. I don't know of anyone who's had this issue, but it is a potential issue. So if you had a continuous power to the computer that was updating it along with the keyboard itself, you'd be in a position that even if the power went out for whatever reason, it would not interrupt that process. So I think it's a good idea considering what we spend on these Nord keyboards. The price of this is about less than $50 for one of these UPS power supplies. So the one I purchased is called the CyberPower CP350 SLG. It's a standby UPS system, 350 VA, 255 watts, 6 outlets, and compact in size. Let me just quickly go over some of the specifications here. You've got 6 outlets, so technically you could bring this to a gig with you. Now, how many people have been to a gig where the power was questionable? Let me tell you, I've been on so many gigs where we were outside powered by a giant generator for, let's say, a triathlon or some other big sporting event or some outdoor festival where, you're dependent on really crappy power, to be honest with you. And I've seen it where, the guitar player would strum and then we'd sing a little louder and the power would kind of dip and then things would kind of fall off. The PA would kind of dive to a whole new low. Anyway, those are stories. Probably was all inappropriately set up, but regardless, these things can happen, especially when it's not in your direct control. So it might be some peace of mind to have not only a surge protector, which I assume you guys are already bringing with you a surge protector, at least one of those 6-strip surge protectors. This one goes a step further to keep that power uninterrupted from an abrasive or an abrupt shutdown. So I really like that. This is small enough where you could do it. So you've got 3 power outlets on the left side, which are both surge protected and battery. The ones on the right are simply the surge only. So that's how that works. Now the dimensions on this, it's really tiny. It is 7.1 inches long, 4.3 inches wide, and 3.2 inches tall. Let me show it to you. So here's the unit close up. You can see that the entire unit fits in the footprint of my hand. And then I can pick it up with a single hand, and it's very light. As far as UPS goes, this is real light. This is a tiny little guy. I mean, maybe I'm taking all of this way too seriously, but then again, the students have told me, look, these are $4,000 plus in some cases, the price on these keyboards. Why risk bricking it? And we all know how, repairing these aren't easy and you have to wait for shipping, and we're talking weeks and weeks of major interruption / frustration. So if this helps save the keyboard, great. In fact, I was talking to another student. Her keyboard died at the gig. She said, it went down, and then it came back up, and then it went down again. I said, that sounds like power, because the Nord keyboards just don't magically turn themselves off, generally speaking, right? So it turned out that she was able to fix her keyboard by simply changing the fuse in the back. This was a Nord Stage 3. And boy, was she happy, because the fuse is easy to order, and she was able to do that. I told her, get a spare in case this happens again. But it reminded me, power is really iffy on these gigs. Some of these old houses and things like that, wherever you guys play, these are professional, sophisticated, almost computer-like keyboards. And you don't want to risk anything with power. And not only that, maybe you don't fry the whole keyboard, but maybe you fry a portion of it or parts of it go down electronically. It's really high fidelity electronics here we're talking about. Okay, so I will finish charging this UPS. It takes 8 hours to charge, and the duration of this battery is 3 to 6 years, so it lasts a long time. And by the way, the weight on this, again, is really light, 3.5 pounds. So I thought it was important to test the actual power that a Nord keyboard takes. So I figured let's load up all 4 Nord keyboards here and start testing the power. So let's do that over the next several minutes here in this video. One by one, we're going to take the Nord Lead A1, then we're going to follow that up with the Electro 6. Then we'll put the Wave 2 on deck, and then finally we'll bring it home with the Nord Stage 3. And we'll test the wattage of all these keyboards. Now, I think I'm probably the first person on the internet to ever do such a thing. And I like to be the first, but I also could be the only person in the world that could care about this stuff. But anyway, here we go. Let's watch it. I think it's kind of interesting. And there's the Lead A1. Now, how am I going to measure this power? Well, I'm using this special unit here, which I got off Amazon, and it's really a cool thing. And I got this for other reasons because I had solar power in the house here in SoCal, and I wanted to see what certain things took for power so I could sort of monitor my power usage and kind of get a feel for what takes what. So this is basically a watt meter or kilowatt meter. It does all kinds of things, but for the most part, all we really care about is how many watts are being used. So I've got the Lead A1 connected to this cable, this regular standard power cable right here, and I'm going to plug. This is my power to the wall, so this 6 strip just simply goes to the wall, nothing fancy there. Then I'm going to take this and plug this into the 6 strip like so. Okay, so now that's plugged in and it's powered up. You can see here the lights are reading that no wattage is used from this outlet here. It's measuring what's coming in here, what's being pulled from this. It's measuring it. Okay, so let's do this now, and we will put a little protection here on our keyboard. This is my flexible keyboard cover that I use for more than just a keyboard cover. Obviously, you can see that these have been really handy. I never thought I'd get so many uses out of these, secondary uses out of these. Okay, so there's our little meter. Now it's time to place your bets. How many watts do you think this will use? Any guesses? If you want to take a guess and then put an honest answer in the comments, we can see who got the closest and give them the Star of the Day award. I'm now going to turn on the Nord Lead A1 and we're going to see how many watts it takes. Be nice if I plugged it in. You know the old saying, the toaster didn't work, the toaster didn't work. Well, did you plug it in? Oh no, I didn't plug it in. I can't believe I did that. Okay, so I'm going to plug this in. It's still off, but I'm going to plug it in. Should be drawing no power at this point because it's off. I'm going to now turn it on. Here we go. It's powering up. Okay, the wattage is reading at 15.5 and 15.8 and 16.2, probably because I triggered it. So let's just do, I've got a program here called A10, which I happen to use for the Chariots of Fire. And it looks like it's taking 16.4 watts, between 16.4 and 16.5. Okay, now the Nord Electro 6. What is it all about? Nord Electro 6. Any guesses for wattage on this? You think it'll be more than 16? You'd think it would be more. It's got capability to play samples. It's a bigger keyboard. Seems like it's got more electronics in it. It has 3 engines, piano, organ, and sample synth. Okay, we're ready to go. We're going to turn on the Electro 6. Place your bets, and we're off. 6.6, 6.8 during the boot process, 7.3 and climbing, sort of, 6.8. Fully on, 7.9. Are you kidding me? Are you telling me that the Electro 6, with all its might and power, takes less power? Whoa, less power than the Lead? Now, why is that? Could it be that this is a newer keyboard and the electronics are more efficient, or the power supply is more efficient and that it doesn't need as much power to do all its magic? Or is the Lead A1 truly a bad boy that needs more power for what it does? That is a good question, but we're at 7.9. Now, to be fair, I only have the sample synth engine on. Let's go ahead and turn the piano engine on. Aha! It went up by 1/10 of a watt. Let's turn the organ engine on. Ah, it went up again by 1/10 of a watt. But, you know, that's making less of an impact than I thought it would. Now here's all 3 engines off, 7.9, 7.8. So really, the key is when these keyboards are on, they pretty much take the same power whether the engines are on or it's being played. It seems like about the same amount of power being used. That's the Electro. The big surprise there is, wow, 8.2 versus the 14 or 15 that we had with the lead. Okay. Now, next on deck, the almighty Wave 2. Certainly the new kid on the block. 4 layers like the lead A1, synth engines like the lead A1, but the ability to play samples as well, and a lot of morph capability on this keyboard. It's truly the performance synthesizer. All right, what are your bets on this? Do you think it'll be more than the other keyboards? It's got 73 keys. That Electro 6 had 61 keys. I wonder if the number of keys makes a difference. I bet it does. I bet it does. Maybe not by much, but I bet it does. Okay, here we go. This is the Nord Wave 2. During the boot process here, we've got 6.6. Now we're up to 8.4, 9.4, 9.4 and holding, 9.3. Fully booted up, 9.9, 10.6. 10.6 for the Wave 2. Let me switch to another program here. This is a 10.7. It's the Phil Collins Take Me Home song. Got the Cars Drive song, 10.6. Just kind of seeing if there's any kind of differences. A little bit. I mean, it makes a 1/10 of a watt difference depending on what's in the display. Okay, now the moment you've been waiting for. I think you can say the almighty Stage 3. Now we'll be bringing up the compact version. So now for the Stage 3. What will it be? Any guesses? My guess would be it's going to take more power than any of the other 3. Why? Well, it's got the 2 layers. Does have the 3 sound engines. A lot of morphing capability, a lot of knobs and buttons. It's taller, so in my mind it is more electronics to power up, a lot more features to power. So my guess is it's going to be more than the lead A1. But I could be wrong on that. Let's turn it on and see. Okay, during the power-up process, we're already at a 9.4, a 10.2, 11.8, 12.1 in climbing, holding at 12.1, 11.8, 11.6, fully booted, 13.2, 13.7. Yeah, it's definitely on the high side, but perhaps not as much as the lead A1. Maybe that has to do with the vintage of the technology, because the lead A1 is an older design than the Stage 3. Yeah, 13.7. Let's just turn off all engines here. So I've got panel A on, but all 3 engines are off. So we're at 13.4 versus 13.5, somewhere in there. Now I'm going to turn on the organ engine. Yeah, we went up to 13.6. Piano engine, 13.7. Synth engine, now we're up to 14. And I think that concludes our lesson for today as far as what the wattage is for these keyboards here. Pretty interesting. I would have lost a few bets on that for sure. So I hope you enjoyed my discovery of the power for your Nord keyboards. This is really on the fringe of the fringe of the fringe of topics. So accept my apologies, but I just had to do it. It was something that I found somewhat curious. Maybe you will too. Leave a comment if you want. If you were close on those bets, give yourself a pat on the back. We'll give you a star if you nailed any of them. It's kind of hard to nail something that fluctuates, though, because the power did fluctuate. But if you got within 0.2 of a watt, I guess that's pretty darn impressive. Or that you've already measured it on your own end with a watt meter. But how many people really have a watt meter in their life? Unless you're an electrician, you probably don't. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.